Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of NRL Supercoach Off the Bench. Tonight we'll look at we'll talk about some Origin preview from last night's game, and we'll also have a quick look at some of the games from this weekend. Go through our VC and C choices. Tonight on the pod, I'm joined by Guy. Welcome, Guy.
Evening, lads. Keen to be back. Especially not after a Blues loss, but we look forward to Supercoach this week.
Yeah, and welcome, Timmy.
Evening, sports fans. It's great to be back, especially after a lovely Origin smashing last night. Go the Maroons.
All right. Yeah, well, I didn't watch all the game last night. I was pretty knackered from work. Yes, it's probably a poor man's excuse, but actually was. Probably only watched the first half. From what I saw, I thought Moses tried really hard in the game. He just tried a lot of different things. I thought he was okay, but just our forwards and the fact that they put Cook into the centres, I thought was a big mistake when they probably could have put Isaiah Yeo or they could have put Cam Murray out there. Like, I felt sorry for Ado Carr because he was just standing out in that wing like dead set catching a cold, I'm sure, because he never saw any ball out there. But yeah, another disappointing result for the boys, and a couple of dodgy tries, just a couple. I mean, I'm pretty sure Val Holmes knew that first one wasn't a try, and then the other one that was 2 meters forward. I get the score was the score, but momentum can certainly work in different ways. So we'll go to you next, Timmy. I know you're very happy about the result. Obviously, for you guys, I thought Lindsay Collins this series has just been by far an absolute beast. Like, just all your forwards have probably stood up like well over the top of ours. Tydo, Carrigan, I mean, the list goes on. Just so much there to like.
Yeah, it's interesting. He doesn't play that dominantly for the Roosters, and the forward pack that the Roosters have got. You'd imagine if they could get the best out of Wira, Hargraves, Lodge, and Lindsay Collins, they bloody steamroll most teams. It's for a team that's been pretty well. Let's be honest, they've been pretty shit this year, the Roosters. So. Certainly not up to their standards. The way Lindsay Collins played last night, just unbelievable. So, where's that been for the Roosters?
Yeah. I missed the end of the game, most of the second half. So, tell me this about this incident, this little headbutting incident, this bit at the end of the game.
I got no idea what you just said, but I'll
move on from the game as a whole. Sorry, I was just talking about the headbutting incident at the end of the game.
Oh, right, they're headbutting. Yeah, look, I don't know. Look, if that wasn't in a game of Origin, surely those boys all get a couple of weeks each. You can't throw a punch in this day and age. Yes, if you want to call it a punch, he didn't exactly connect, but it was certainly the intent was there, and he tried every bit to land one on Reece Walsh's chin. So, yeah, despite the fact that nothing really happened from it, look, they all got fined, all three players, Walsh, Luai, and that stupid flog out on the wing, but look, it's it is what it is. It's they turn a blind eye to those things in Origin. The boys all copped a fine and they play on this weekend.
That's it. What do you think for the next game? So obviously Cobbo's most likely going to be available. Do you think he comes back in and Coates obviously misses out, or do you think they just... What do you think they do?
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one because I think neither of them have really done anything wrong to deserve being dropped. So whether or not Billy just keeps playing it safe and says, well, you weren't quite fit for last game, so maybe you... I mean, it really going to depend on both players' form, I think, over the next 2 weeks before the next Origin round is announced.
It's interesting though, because Cobbo's been named to play this weekend for the Broncos too.
Yeah, but they're still saying that the hit point is an issue for him. So from everything that I've read. But mind you, there was arguments about whether or not he could have played this game and there was any real issue with him last week anyway. So who knows?
All right, Guy, what's your take on it? What changes would you be making for the Blues next game?
Well, look, I thought going into it's always going to be tough going up to Queensland for the decider. We really should have won game one. In terms of this game, he talked about the couple of, let's say, 50-50 at best calls from the ref. Even if there were no tries, which there probably were, my main issue with the ref was just how much he blew the whistle. Like for State of Origin, they just need to let it flow a bit more. And he blew that whistle way too much and stopped the game quite a lot when he should have just let it go. Player-wise, you said Moses had a good game. I'm not too sure. I think field position, he got quite a lot of. I think we had a lot of play the balls in Queensland's 20 or 30, and we just couldn't score points. I think our attack was just very, very pedestrian. Maybe Moses, Luai, and Teddy, that spine hasn't played much together. Just wasn't flowing out the back. I know they're missing Cleary, Trell, and Turbo, who have been them most attacking weapons in previous years. But yeah, I just think, just their attack was quite off, and you have to put that down to the halves and your spine players, because like Timmy said, Fox didn't see anything out on the edges. It goes back to the decision in the back row. Like you're picking Frizzell and Hudson Young, they're not going to get poke their nose through the line. They need a bit more. Just a bit more punch, I think.
And I like Watu or Matangi or something like that, maybe come in for the next game.
Yeah, bigger body.
I think you play both of them. I think you play Koala on the left and Olakuatu on the right, and I think they make a massive difference.
I think Koala could even start front row. I thought Paulo or Paolo or however you want to pronounce it, he just had like nothing this series at all. Like he's just, I don't know, he just doesn't have it for me as an Origin player.
Yeah, and I thought for Queensland, like you said, their forwards just win it for them. They scored easy tries, but then again they put themselves in that position. Whereas just didn't work out for the Blues. It's a pretty miserable night for most of them. In terms of going forward to Game 3, it's hard because it's it's not a decider, so they might go for a few debutants or some young talent coming through, but who knows? It's just disappointing as a Blues fan. In terms of the Fox, I was actually happy that he actually threw one. The other two just Snuffy's just throwing little headbutts at each other. At least Fox got the hands and threw them, so it's good to see from him. And yeah, even Tino's one. I'm actually in Tino. I'm on Queensland side. I actually don't think it's worthy of a suspension, but I think that with
the hip drop,
I think that with most of the hip drop. So like it's just unavoidable. It happens so fast, and they're just trying to get the play down. I don't think it's intention to hurt the player at all.
No, and I mean these guys have been playing football for a long time, and the hip drop's really only been focused on recently. Like for some of these blokes, they've been playing footy for the best part of 20 years, and they've been tackling that same way for 20 years. So it's really hard, obviously, it's like any habit. Try and kick smoking after you've been doing it for 20 years or drinking. Look, it's just like any other habit. They do it over and over again, and it's pretty hard to change that. I understand the severity of it and everything else. Had the guy who was tackling get injured last night, I absolutely guarantee that would have been cited and he would have gone straight to the bin. The fact that nobody was hurt from the incident probably goes in his favour. But the fact that the incident itself wasn't actually cited by the match review committee at all, when people were calling for the head on the chopping block instantly, was a bit of an interesting one.
I think we all agree that Freddie probably regrets not picking the utility on the bench after Turbo went down after 3 minutes. I just didn't understand why you have two hookers when Cook's more than capable enough of playing 80 minutes. Like, they really should have Burton on the bench, or they should have Critter on the bench and had Burton in the centres. I don't know. It was just a cluster mess. Like, I would have probably had Isaiah Yeo or Cam Murray out in the centres over Cook. Just I don't know.
I understand that, and that's easy to say. But mate, how many people jumped up and down about not having two hookers to match Queensland's two hookers after game one?
Not me.
There was a shit ton of people that were jumping up and down going, oh, why didn't he have didn't have a backup hooker on the bench from game one? When you've got two really good hookers or three really good hookers in New South Wales, he had to have two of them in there. So he did that. It obviously didn't go to plan. Cook didn't get to play where they wanted him to play. But I think that's more the issue, that it could have probably rejigged the second rows around or something like that to put somebody else, put Isaiah Yeo out into the centres and do a job out there, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's a tough one. It's all well and good for everyone to say he shouldn't have played two hookers, but the two hookers didn't get to play where they wanted to play anyway. So.
And obviously, what was the other one I was going to mention too? Cam Murray didn't see much minutes again yesterday. I think he came on to the second half. Again, another Freddie masterclass there. I don't understand. I would have had him starting on an edge over Hudson Young. He's probably one of our best forwards that New South Wales has got, and we've got him playing, 30 minutes of football?
Yeah, it seems like the Payne Haas mistake from game one.
Yeah.
He just made it with a different player. Like when you've got guys like that are strike weapons, why you wouldn't play them for the best part of 80 minutes, I got no idea.
So, Cam Murray only played 33 minutes.
Yeah, it was one stint. I think he deserved more minutes, but then again, I don't think that changes the result in the game.
Oh, I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying that, guy. I'm just thinking like he's probably our best forward that we've got in that team. He's the captain of the South team. He should be playing more than 33 minutes.
Oh, definitely. But I disagree with you in that you said you would start him on an edge. I think he's much more valuable in the middle and effective.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I agree.
Anything else we want to talk about on Origin before we move on? I like the fact that the Queensland bus went back to the Caxton after the game, and they got on the beers at the Caxton. Alfie Langer was leading. Cool. Alfie Langer was leading the celebrations.
It's all about the people.
It's all about the 8-inch man, right? Alfie Langer. Yeah. All right.
Greatest halfback ever, right there.
All right, let's go on to some breaking news. So if you haven't heard now, Tommy Turbo with his pec injury has been ruled out for the season. And all the other big news, obviously, today is, boys, Justin Holbrook got the sack. Des Hasler to take over effective immediately. I was under the assumption that didn't Kieran Foran leave Manly to get away from Desi, or what's your guys' thoughts on this one? I mean, there's other coaches that seem to be struggling more, but I mean, they're sitting in ninth at the moment, so they're not going too bad for me this year. Do you want to go?
I probably thought he should have copped the sack a lot earlier. The whole thing with Fafita last year, just like you said, I don't think their squad's too bad. He's like, Brimson's been injured quite a bit. I do like the Campbell. I think he should play more minutes, but it's mainly just their defence. Every Titan game, I swear, always points in the game. They're just not that, and maybe that's what they're trying to do with Des, is tighten up their defence. But even like, I agree with Holbrook going, but I definitely wouldn't have got Des in after what he did at Manly. He had a decent squad at Manly, and run them up to shit. So I just think it's hard because there's not many options out there that are quality. But I probably wouldn't have went back there to Des.
Yeah, Timmy
used to be Desi's third club in about 5 years. Dogs back to Manly and now the Titans. Now I didn't think it was effective. The sacking was effective immediately. I don't think they've come out and said that Des is taking over immediately.
Apparently it has been said now that he is.
Okay.
So I did read something on it earlier, but I thought that they would have just played it out and had the assistant coach take over until the end of the season, considering the season's pretty much nearly over, unless of course they make the 8.
Yeah, look, I can see why they do it. I mean, we're all football fans, as in brown ball football fans as well. And you look at the Premier League, and a lot of the teams over there, they sack their manager when they're sort of just above the drop zone, with the whole idea of you bring in a new manager, brings in a new life, and players all of a sudden really want to play hard because they know their spot's on the line. So maybe it's the same kind of logic. He's coming in now. My understanding is the Titans have got fair few players off contract at the end of the season. So they're obviously bringing a new coach now, flog the bejesus out of him, get the best out that he can, give him 6 months or 3 months of game time, really, to have a look at the squad that he's got, and the coach decides who stays and who goes. So, look, I can understand it. If they can string together 3 or 4 quick wins, that obviously gets them back in the 8 and fairly solid in the 8 till the end of the season. So, yeah, look, I don't hate the idea. Whether Desi's the right man for the job is something else. But, I mean, the guy's got coaching pedigree. It's not like he's a bloody new youngster shit coach or whatever. He's love him or hate him. The guy can coach football.
But interesting to see how he goes. Maybe that's the path that Hunt goes to now as well. Maybe there's there. I mean, I think Hunt does want to go back to Brisbane, from what I've heard. So, I mean, obviously that only leaves the Dolphins and the Titans, really. I mean, I can't see the Cowboys signing him. Broncos probably don't need another half. Tim, I know you're pretty keen to get him on a hooker, but I don't see it happening.
I can't see Benny Hunt going back to hooker. He's made
he wouldn't be getting the money if he was playing hooker, that's for sure.
No,
All right, let's quickly go through this weekend's game. So the first game is guys, Dragons versus the Warriors. Guy, how do you see this one going out?
Look, Warriors have been probably surprise packet of the season for me. Probably ahead of the Dolphins. In terms of this game, look, you expect points. SJ'd be a nice VC. I don't have him though, but for anyone who does, there's probably no one for the Dragons that you probably look to buy. Even from the Warriors, they don't play. Well, they do play 19, but yeah, I've got Tohu. I think I don't know. I'm either going to sell him or Tapane up to Tino. I'm still a bit unsure yet. To partner Haas. But yeah, Supercoach wise, apart from SJ.
What about DeBellin? What about Jack? Well, he's back this week. I know they don't. Yeah. I know they don't play 19 though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and he'd also have a you'd like to see him come back from that injury because he looked quite sore that day. Yeah. But yeah, what do you boys think? Do you like AFB?
Really, I mean, if you have them, you keep them, but I wouldn't be trading. The only Warrior player I'd be trading in for this game would be Sean Johnson. And I know he's highly traded in this week, and like you said, definitely a VC option for this game. I'm toying with the idea because I've still got Cleary. I haven't moved Cleary on yet, but at the same time, I'm thinking of holding Cleary too as a bit of a pod. That way I don't have to, trade him back in if I can help it. But the only thing is, though, by doing that, that will not leave me with a halfback, which means I'd have to cop an AE. And there's a good chance that could be someone crappy like Bronson Garlic or Katawa or someone like that. So, yeah, it's a hard one. I
do think like your likes of AFB and Chance and even DWZ has been passing the eye test lately. They're all great pods if you have them. Just for me, I thought that I'd bring them in. It's just a bit of. I think there's other plays, especially when Chance and DWZ are almost 700k. I think value elsewhere.
Yeah. Next game, Timmy Dolphins versus the Eels up at Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, look, like I was saying off air, the big concern for yourself and myself is whether or not JMK is actually going to be fit to play. If he's not, then I've really got to think long and hard about switching to hooker, which obviously at this time with Origin and all the next best hookers all playing Origin, it's actually a tough one. I think I will, if JMK is not going to play, or if there's any word that comes out about his injury and whether or not he's just got to play injured or they reduce his minutes or whatever. If that's the case, then I think I'll probably be following suit with Guy and going straight to Harry Grant. I think he's the man you want for the run home and might as well save a trade now and just do it now. Means you don't have a hooker for 19. And I think the Storm have still got another buy in there somewhere as well. But yeah, look, I think that's probably the play for me. If you've got Isako and the Hammer, I've still got Isako. He's been pretty handy. He's now 800 and nearly 810k. So that's fantastic. Whether or not there's going to come a point, yes, he's been the best centre wing all season. Whether or not he comes to a point at some stage where you could actually sell him for someone who's a 650k fallen gun or something and then move the 150k around somewhere, I don't hate that. It worked really well for a Gareth Widdop play a couple of seasons ago. So, yeah, if he can get somewhere near 900k, I think you've probably got to think about it. But he's still been far above and beyond the best centre wing, I think, so far.
The only thing I'm going to mention too is Sean O'Sullivan's named on the extended bench as he comes back from his injury. So I could see one or two things happening here. If he is fit to play, Bobo Katoa, I'd say he drops out. Sullivan comes in. But then off the other flip side, if JMK's ruled out and Sean O'Sullivan is fit to play, I can see Katoa stays in there in the halves with O'Sullivan, and most likely Nicarima probably shifts to the hooker position. I would say most likely that's what is going to happen. For Parramatta, boys, who do we like? Anyone here? I think Matto's probably an option this week. He does go back to the bench this week, but I still think he's a decent buy. Still should get decent minutes. Got a good PPM as well.
I'm not. I'm torn. I'm torn with Matto. The thing is, I've got Hopgood already from Para in my second row. I mean, you're gonna want Dave Fafita for the run home, and I've also got Koala Matangi. So I just don't know if Matto's the right thing for my team personally. I don't mind him as a buy. Again, he's coming off the bench. It's not the best. But yeah, I think, yes. If he's deciding between Hopgood and Matto, I'm probably towards Hopgood. But yeah, it just depends how many Eels you've got. I know Moses and Gutho and the likes are quite popular as well. But
they
yeah,
also have a bye round 22, don't they, Para? Or next week or something, Para, I think. Maybe you've got the bye next week, I think, too. Pretty sure.
Next week, yeah, it's next week. Only team on the bye.
The other thing, too, guys, what's your thoughts? Because Sean Lane's named on extended bench, too. Can you see him affecting Hopgood or Matto at all, too?
Well, Hopgood majority plays in the middle. Lane's never going to play in the middle.
No, yeah.
Hardy probably the most, or I think Davey. Have they been playing Davey out there?
No, I think Davey's not. I don't know if Davey was there.
Well, I think he was there last week when
yeah.
players. But yeah, I think Hopgood's pretty safe for at least 60 minutes. So yeah, I think, and Matto, that's what I mean. The most he's going to get is 60 minutes off the bench anyway. He has probably got a little bit more upside with attack, but yeah, I just think Hopgood's shown it this season just with safety. I'm happy just to hold him for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Right, guys. Next game is the Rift versus the Knights. What's your thoughts on this one? I think Penrith obviously should win, but are we expecting all their players to back up this week, do you think?
It's tricky, especially after a loss. You feel as though the players will kind of be wanting to come out and play and make a point. I'm really happy Greg Marzu got on the team bus this week. Really.
Hang on, has he yet though? Has he made it to Penrith yet? Okay.
Fingers crossed. Dane Gagai has been an interesting one though. He's just keeps on delivering, and it's amazing because he's had his probably best season in a while, and it's the only hasn't been picked for Origin. But yeah, he's been really, really surprise packet for me, flown under the radar. I'm looking at Brian Tottle as a pod. You boys know I love him for my centre wing for the run home. He's probably one I'm going to look to grab in. Like, I wouldn't mind a hammer down to Tottle, like Timmy said, and bank the 200K to use to go, up to a Cody Walker or someone else who you want. So yeah, I actually don't mind that play from Timmy. Toll's probably the only one I'm looking at. I know
what about Critter? You don't like Critter? I think Critter's like nice and cheap too. He could be an option as well.
He just doesn't have that base. He just doesn't have the runs and the work rate. Same with Targo. Just Toll's personal favourite. Yeah. Dylan Edwards also, is not a bad pod if you have him, but I probably wouldn't trade him in. With the option.
He hasn't been great the last couple of weeks, actually. Edwards, he's had a couple of pretty subpar scores, I think, too.
Well, we had 77 in his last game, which is
I think his scores coincide with Cleary not playing.
Yeah.
I think once Cleary comes back, I'd be all over Dylan Edwards as a pod play for the run home. He just doesn't seem to get the ball in the right places when Cleary's not there.
Yeah, see, for me, I think it's Gutho and Troll possibly for the run home. I was only going to hang on to Gutho till around 20, but the way he's going, I just can't sell him. There's no way in the world. I just think he's a hold to the end at the moment unless something goes dramatically wrong. So
we've Turbo had it easier. I'm probably Teddy Trell, fullback combo for the run home, but yeah, it's marginal.
Yeah, going back to Gagai, I believe I read somewhere he's only 2% owned as well. So he's uber pod. If you
And
want to look at
he's about 660
630 or something. Something like that.
Yeah, I like it.
Scotty Sorensen would have been a great pod if he got
mate.
a month.
The worst part, the hardest part is he started expensive, and everyone went, "Well, I'm not going to touch him because he's expensive," and he's only gone up.
And now he's like 800K or something stupid.
Mate.
And he's pushed Zach Hosking. Zach Hosking was on fire at the start of the season,
pushed him back to the bench.
As soon as Scotty started getting some minutes, he's now like Zach Hosking's not even named now.
Yeah.
So I've got him sitting in my second row and can't even play him. So, and he's almost in a position where at the moment I can't even sell him because I only want to sell him to Fafita, and I don't think you can buy Fafita back until after Origin 3.
Yeah, I again, like we were looking at Hosking and Garner as well at the start of the year. No one even thought about Scotty. Credit to him though, he's worked hard. He's got a contract upgrade as well. Ponga, I think he's got a good 95 last game. For me personally, I had him at the start of the year, and just his head knocks, I couldn't go back. And yeah, I think with the likes at 5'8" of your Cody's. And I've got Manu there, but I'm probably this week I'm going to Munster. So yeah, I just think there are better options than him at 5'8". Peachy would have hurt a few people as well, not named this week, like Hosking as well. But yeah, apart from,
do you think some of those guys might get brought in after, like maybe Yo obviously played big minutes. I think Liam Murray played some decent minutes. Not Liam Murray, Liam Martin played some decent minutes last night. So does maybe some of those guys get a rest and the boys that were named outside of the 17 come back in? I don't know.
Yeah,
Panthers need to win some football games.
Yeah, I think if they're going to do it, it's going to be round 20 after the 19 bye. So yeah, I think they might try and get a win or two before then. The other one, like you said, Isaiah Yo, he's actually been quite interesting. He's almost average 70 for the year, and he's just flown under the radar. No one that I've heard of ever got him. But yeah, I think his last 5 scores, 87, 83, 75, 71, 74. So
how expensive is he?
He's 700K now, so he's about on.
Yeah.
But he's only gone at 8K up from his starting price. So it was always about that price. But he's just so consistent, and he's always playing. He's rarely injured or worried about sending off. He did have his HIA history back in his earlier days when he was on the edge. But yeah, I actually think he's just flown under the radar, and he's not a bad. He hasn't got the attacking upside, but those scores weren't with attack, so he can. He
makes a lot of tackles. He'll make about 50 tackles a game, 40, 50 tackles. So that's where obviously a lot of it comes from. So
he always gets the minutes as well. I've noticed.
Yeah. All right, next game, Timmy, Melbourne versus Manly. Melbourne, I think there's a few options here. Harry Grant, Cam Munster, Neva, Nick Meaney. Manly, well, Turbo's gone for the season, as we said. Garrett, I don't think he's a priority sell this week because I think a lot of people are going to be struggling to field a decent 17 this week. And obviously, if he's not playing fullback, for me, he's a sell.
Yeah, look, I think if you're going to start to set your team up for the end of the year, I think this is probably the game where you start to bring the Storm players back in, despite the fact that they'll miss round 19. But look, I really do like the idea of bringing Harry Grant and Munster in. Meaney would be another one, although there has been a bit of chat that Paps is actually back running. And so maybe he's not that far away. I would be thinking Bellyache said he wanted to give him a few games in reserve grade once he reckons he is up for it. Whether or not he starts in reserve grade and plays off the bench or starts at fullback, who knows? But yeah, look, I'd be keeping a little bit of an eye on that. Although I think still Nick Meaney with the kicking boots on probably certainly still holds his spot. He's been probably one of the Storm's best players this season. So look, I'm not ready to bring Meaney in, but certainly Harry and Munster look the goods.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. Turbo out. I think you have to load up on Melbourne, for this game. Garrick, maybe a sell. Probably, I won't do it this week. We would need the numbers, but in the near future, could maybe be a sell without Turbo. I know a lot of people have talked up DCE as an option with your Cleary and Nico this week. Some people don't want to cop that AE. So, yeah, a lot of them are looking at DCE and even Jerome Hughes in the same game. And, yeah, I just think, for me, I'm personally going to save the trades and just hold Cleary. I've only got 17 this week anyway, like I told you boys, so the AE doesn't really bother me. I'm like Timmy. I've already kind of made up my mind now with Turbo gone for the season because I was looking at bringing him in as an option this week. But, yeah, I'm probably looking at Munster and Harry as definite. I think they're both great buys this week, and I'm trying to bring them both in.
I think now's the time to dump your Manly players. Maybe with the exception of Garrick, if he can jag that fullback spot. They've been playing weeks there, and they've been pretty keen to keep him there as the next young gun to come through the ranks. But look, Garrick, it's a bit like Joey Manu. The team just looks so much better when Garrick's at fullback. If Turbo's not there, and it's the same with Manu for Teddy at the Roosters. So look, I think if Seabold wants to win football games, he's got to play Garrick back there. Maybe find Weeks a spot in the centres or something. I've got no doubt the kid's a footballer, but maybe not the same sort of caliber of fullback. Garrick's played pretty well in the centres. I've been pretty happy with him. He's certainly trying to get himself involved. But yeah, they've got to stop cutting him out. If he gets the ball more often, he'll score more points.
Look, I think he'll still get some. I think he'll still get some ball with DC in the team, but I just think Turbo not there, with him not at fullback, I just don't think he's going to be as effective.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. So, look, for me personally, I'm looking at probably Schuster via some duels actually to Munster, and yeah, and then maybe we'll see with the Harry over JMK and see what happens there.
Yeah. All right, next game.
Just before we move on, just one more player, Ola Kawatu. He was a great play because he did through the bye period because he did play the first two buys, but like you said, I just think he's a 40 to 50 player, but he can get that attack, but he needs that attack to push a 70 or 80. But I think at that back row spot, there are safer players who can score you a 70 or 80 without the attack, like your Hopgoods and your Dave Fafita's, even your Isaiah Yeo, who we mentioned before. I just prefer, without a try getting 70 than someone who needs a try to get 80. So,
the only thing I will say is he's a couple of $100K cheaper than some of those options.
Yeah, well, even then, I'd probably wait.
There's one really good option that I'm going to speak about after the next game that I think is a good option if he can start getting some attacking stats. I think I know who I'm talking about, but let's get to the next game first, which is it's the Broncos versus the Titans, the local derby.
Not the player I was talking.
No. So a few players backing up from both these teams from Origin. How do you see this one playing? Do you think the Broncos will be too good, or do you think it's a case of a new coach and Titans have a good dig at this one?
Yeah, battle of I think it's still the Queensland derby. Well, maybe not. I think it's Brisbane and Cowboys, but it's a derby either way. Deefy, hopefully he gets the minutes. What are we all thinking after, especially last Origin? He only got not much.
I hope he doesn't get the minutes. I need one more week. One more week of a down week.
Piss off. Put him on mute. I'm going to put him on mute.
One more week of a down week, just so we can all pick him up.
I don't know, guy. I don't know what Des is going to do. I mean, I didn't watch the whole game. Did he seem like he did much in that game at all? Like, did he get very involved like he would normally?
I don't think he needed to personally.
Yeah.
They were making enough. They had enough go forward. And they were getting tries, and they kind of didn't really need him. Which just shows how dominant they were in the game. I know a lot of people at Reece Walsh for a pod for the way home. I don't mind it now that he's dropped back to 600K, but I think your likes of Trell, Teddy, and maybe even a few others are a bit ahead of him. Payne Haas is obviously a must for the run home. Tino is a great option as well.
He's got to be close to near must, him and Haas in that front row, I reckon, for sure, for the run home.
If not now, definitely after the third origin. Him and Haas for the way home. I also had Paddy Carrigan at the start of the year for that safety in the second row, but it all depends with his minutes, how he goes. But yeah, apart from that, there's not many really other players from these teams that I'm looking at. Brimson, I know, is a few people thought about as a pod. I'm struggling at 5'8", but yeah, I don't really like it.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it as a pod play. I don't hate it. I think we brought up some stats the other day. I believe it was on the pod on Tuesday with Brad and Billy that he averaged nearly 100 on the run home for the Titans last year at fullback. So I don't hate it. Their draw's not too bad. If you're looking for a pod over a Walsh or a Turbo or shouldn't say Turbo anymore because he's gone, but a Teddy or something like that, I don't hate it. I really don't. Dual position, you can move him around with other players as well if you've got the right duels there, like a Ponga. So I don't hate it at all.
Who was the second rower in this game that you were talking about?
No, next game.
Next game.
Next game. Not this one. Yeah. Timmy, anything else to add before we go to this game?
No, look, I think despite the recent history, we've actually got a really bad history of playing the Titans at Suncorp. For some strange reason, on a Sunday afternoon, the Titans seem to just knock us off. I don't see that happening this week. If everyone from both teams back up, I think the Broncos are just going to be too good this season for the Titans. Yeah, look, I'm really interested to see. While New South Wales needs to make changes, I know he hasn't had his best season, but I think if Stags can string together 2 decent games of footy, he's got to start being in the conversation about going back to New South Wales origin selection. I know they've got. I still, don't get me wrong, I still put like Campbell Graham in front of him, but if they've got no Turbo, they've got no Latrell, or if Latrell moves around or whatever. I don't know. They need guys. They need strike weapons. They're not scoring points. So plain and simple. It's.
I don't think Tony's a strike centre. I think he's more of a defensive centre. Personally, I'd have. I know I've already said it, but I'd have Burton at centre before. Yeah.
I agree on that, and I said that going into Origin, like the start of the series. I can't understand why they didn't pick Burton to begin with. The amount of difference that player alone between him and bloody. Gerbo, they made a massive difference last season when they both.
I thought he was good last series too. I thought he was actually good last series. I thought he was really unlucky to miss out. So
it's ridiculous. Freddie being a knob, but anyway, good for us.
Right. If you are going to pod at Broncos backline, I'd probably be more inclined to. I know a few people. Kirby. I'm actually quite different. I actually like Corey Oates. I actually think he's got the highest ceiling out of the lot. He's just got the most chance of scoring a hat trick. But yeah, I wouldn't go there. It's very risky. But yeah, if I was,
he's got the ceiling, but you know, Herbie's got the base and the attack as well. So, but I don't hate Coates. I don't hate it either. So, yeah. But anyway, next game is South versus the Cowboys. Cowboys have obviously named all their origin players on the extended bench. So it'll be interesting to see how many they end up backing up or what minutes they play. For South, they get Cody back, but still no Latrell. I think Cody's an option. Colin Matangi's an option, but then you got the risk of him potentially getting picked for Origin 3. The other one I was going to talk about, Guy, is our man that we spoke about earlier, is Cam Murray. He's getting uber super duper cheap. But not getting the attacking stats this year, he could be one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely. He's the one. I mean, he's got a high BE. He's going to be mid 400s. So any of the likes of Hoskins, Prestons, even the IPAPs or Teague Wiltons and all those back rollers, even Ola Kawadu, those kind of mid-ranges, I think Murray's more... He's got more...
He's nearly a straight swap for Schuster for fuck's
He's
sake.
going to be 460.
That's bonkers.
He's going to be 460k if he gets his projected score of 44. Like that.
Yeah.
When would you ever got Cam Murray for 460k? Never,
Yeah.
ever in the world. You're right,
So
Jimmy. He's nearly a straight swap for Schuster. It's crazy, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
the fact of that, but like he's going to be out with a point to prove. Sorry, guy, I didn't mean to jump in over you. He's going to have a point to prove after Wednesday night.
Do you know what I like too? Do you know what I like? What I like the fact is I can nearly go Tyrone Beachy straight swap to him.
Yeah. Well, I've got the same. I've got Kyle Felt, from the start of the buys. He's scored well, made his money. He's up to almost 650k. So I could make almost 200k in a week or two. So it's just, it's a great downgrade to then use your cash elsewhere. And even if he's not in your starting 17, he's a great fifth second row to have. You did talk about Cody. I agree. He's a great option, especially. Who do they play in that round?
They play Dragons in round 19, I believe. I think it is, isn't it? Is that correct? I think it is.
Yeah, it's an easy game. They will be missing Latrell and Cookie and their Origin players. Maybe Campbell Graham as well.
Oh, sorry, they play Bulldogs round 19. Sorry, South.
Yeah, 19. Yes.
Bulldogs. Sorry. Yeah.
They just played the Dragons. That's what I was
thinking.
Yeah,
they'll be missing Addo Carr. They'll probably be missing Burton. I'd say Burton will be missing again. Most likely.
So Koala Matangi's a great buy. I got him on him, a few months maybe back.
I just think it's risky jumping on him now, though, guy, with Origin around the corner.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? I don't think I'd be getting on him now, though.
Yeah, I think you'd wait a week and get Murray for okay, cheap. Drinky's been a great pod for the people that jumped on for the buy period.
Shout out to Brad. Shout out to Brad that jumped on him. Well done, Bradle. I know he's pretty keen on him, so.
So he's been great.
What about our old beast mate Lolo? What do you think about Lolo? As an option?
I was going to mention that he scored a 70-something last week. He was turning back.
He was back to beast mode last week. 470k though. I think for a similar price, I'd probably go Cam Murray though.
Safe as houses. Absolutely.
Definitely agree. I'd much rather go Cam Murray. There is the only one that I wanted to give you a question to you boys. AJ, sell or hold?
Oh, jeez. I mean, they've got the Bulldogs, they've got the Cowboys this week, and then they've got the Bulldogs round 19. Geez, it'd be hard to sell him, wouldn't it? Now, I mean,
so the Cowboys. They've got Cowboys, Warriors, Bulldogs, Broncos, Tigers, Sharks for the next 6 games.
Geez, I'd be tempted to hold that.
I'd be holding AJ.
It's just a couple of buys that hurt between.
But in saying that, like last time he played the Tigers, I think he only got like 20 points too. So
he needs Latrell back so they can spark up that.
I think even with Cody back, I think it'll be better this week with Cody back in the team. There's no doubt about that. But he's got to break even at 75, so he's not gonna. I don't think he's a priority sell this week, guys. I'll probably sell him after round 19 if I'm going to sell him.
Yeah. I just think a lot of people I know are trying to, use cash and get these run home players.
Yeah.
I've still got him, and I'm probably going to hold him to the end. I mean, you've got Greg Mars, who I probably can't sell either. But I've got a couple in there. I'd probably sell Felt, or I'm going to sell Felt this week. Sorry, Manu, or Ramian, because Ramian. I'll hold Mulatalo, but I think Ramian after round 19.
You say sell Joey Manu?
Yeah, I would sell Manu before, especially now at centre. Yeah, I would definitely sell him before AJ.
If the Roosters can get going, they can start to click. I'll be hanging on to him. He's a bit of a ball hog too. So
it depends who you think your 4 best centre wing is. See, I'm thinking Marzu, Mulatalo, and To'o. Definitely might a 3, but that 4th one could be an AJ, could be a Garrick, could be a lot of people. I can't do Isako at 800k.
You wouldn't be trading him now.
Have you got him in though?
No, I've never.
My centre wing as it stands, I've got Isako, Garrick, Marju, Mulatalo, Talakai, Taruva, and Smith from the Rooters.
Yeah, see, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that Talakai's a hold till the end of the way he's going either.
No,
Yeah.
And I own him too, but I don't
Sharks
think
Sharks have got a good run.
Oh, you can't sell him now. There's no way in the world. No way. No.
All
right.
Well,
yep.
But yeah, in answer to the question, I think AJ is a hold. Then we kind of just worked out with is in your team.
So. I think until at least round 20 is a hold anyway.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say, just not about that, but just looking at the draw with Cam Murray, I totally get it, the price and the potential and everything else. He's obviously going to play Origin. Well, you'd like to think he's spot safe as houses. It means he's only going to play 2 of the next 4 rounds because he'll play 17, 18, won't play 19. They've got the buy-in 20. So if you'll bring him in, you're only bringing in like that kind of player for 2 of the next 4 rounds, which is...
No, but that's the thing. You wouldn't bring him in this week because he's still got a high BE. That's what I mean. You're probably
but then there's no point in bringing him in next week because he's only going to get 1 game out of him before he misses the next 2. Yeah, so you're probably better off waiting until round 21 to bring him in for the run home.
Yeah, and that's fine. And then you'll have from that you held for the buys that you'll want to get rid of. You like so Wilton and IPAPs and Aitmans maybe or whoever. So yeah.
All right, guy. Last game, Roosters and the Raiders.
Yeah, Roosters should win. It's the old grand final rematch from the 6 again. Always reminds me these 2 teams play.
Yeah.
Teddy will be coming out hot, I think, after his Origin performance. In terms of Supercoach, Taps, like I said, him and Horse, I think if you got them at front row, you probably want Haas and Tino, I think, to finish. And then,
Who's your third? Who do you guys have as your third front row? Like,
I've got Haas, Harris, and I've got Mawali and Palacia. That's who I've got at the moment. But I'll probably hang on to Palacia as enough, and then potentially Mawali has just come back into the team. So I may look to upgrade him, but I might just run 2 front rowers, Tim. I might not even worry about it because if I'm going to run Haas and Tino, I probably don't need another one.
Well, you probably do because they're very likely to get a suspension, those 2.
Yeah. See, I've got...
Tino's protected species. Listen, Tino's protected. He doesn't get a suspension.
Yeah. I've got the Horse and Harris up there at the moment with Kepi and Udakamanu. So I'm really hoping that Big Steph comes out. He's learnt something at Origin camp or whatever. I don't know. He played bugger all minutes, but hoping he got something out of it and turns into the front row.
12 whole minutes he played, Timmy.
Hopefully he can turn into the front row that we all know he can be.
So what's your plan with him? Are you planning on selling him after round 19 then?
Well, I think either Kepi or Steph will become nuffs, and they'll become a dual front row, second row nuff.
Yeah.
And then use the cash to upgrade probably someone from second row to Haas or Tino and move Harris around. I don't know. I think the smart way to play it is to have as many dual front row, second rows in there as you can. Because if you've got Tino and you've got Tohu Harris in there, that's why I'm thinking more of actually keeping Kepi, as dodgy as he is. But he's been scoring. He's got a 55 or whatever it was last round, so I probably can't put too much shit on him. But I don't know. I think keeping a few of those duels just to move him around is going to be really helpful.
What are you guys doing? What's your guys plan with Billy Smith? I mean, I've sold him already. Are you guys looking to move him on soon, or like to maybe Farah if he holds his spot, or maybe this Bradley guy if he holds his spot as a cheapy option for round 19, which will be his 3rd game maybe by then? What are you guys doing with him?
I'll probably nuff him. It depends if you need the cash or I might upgrade. The one I looked at was Tupu. He wasn't too more from Billy Smith. I think he was just over 400 to 450. He scored a try on the weekend. And like you said, if Roosters have that run home like they usually do, he could be a nice, value option who 5th or 6th centre wing play on matchups. In terms of the front row, I'm almost set. Like I've got Haas, Tapane, Tohu, and then enough. So I'm either going to go Tohu or Tapane, keep one and sell the other to Tino. I'm still unsure on which one it will be. But yeah, and also with centre wing, like all my players are playing, so I have no nuffs there. So I wouldn't mind maybe a second row centre wing nuff for Billy Smith. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes each week. He's a number this week, so I don't think you can sell. Yeah.
See, I like that. I've got Connolly Lemuelu, and I'm sort of a little bit torn with what to do with him. Like it was only a month or so ago that he banged out 120, but now he's coming off the bench. So he's been such a consistent player for them. But over the last 2 or 3 rounds, he's really dropped off a cliff. So
you have to be a sell money. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to hold on the bench, especially if you don't know. I mean, it's a wait and hold and see what minutes he plays this week, obviously.
Yeah. He was up near 700K. Now he's back to 550. So, yeah, I don't know. Like he's one that I've sort of held on to throughout the buys because I needed to hold on to him. And when I had him and Jack Bird, it was actually really handy flicking between the two from centre wing up to second row.
Don't worry, Tim. Don't worry, Tim. At least it wasn't a Tomoko play.
No, well, yeah. I took my medicine on that one.
Hey, I don't know if you saw the pod the other day, but we were talking about it with Billy and Brad.
Yeah.
And Billy was saying he was 5K short to go to Timoko. And I'm like, well, it was a sign then, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I copped it from those boys.
Oh, boy.
I wasn't the only one that did it out of the ball sacks, lads. So someone else had to go on Tomoko as well.
All right, boys. Timmy, trades and VC&C options this week.
Yeah, look, at this stage, I'm looking at if I do any trades. It's really going to depend on JMK. I'll go him to Harry, I think, and yeah, probably somebody. I'll move pieces around. Someone who's not playing this week and probably bring Munster in. I think is probably the smart play for me.
And VC&C. What about VC&C for this week?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about it.
Okay.
Come back to me. I'll have a look.
Back to you, guy.
Yeah, I'm definitely going. Hodgson to Harry. I've had money saved up. I've probably had a lot of money saved up the last few weeks in excess, which I'm going to use this week. But yeah, Hodgson up to Harry. And then I'm probably, the thing is, I had one too many players from the Sharks, Tigers, and Dogs. Well, I have no dogs, but Sharks and Tigers. So I've got to get rid of one. And I'm looking at, and this is quite controversial, Bateman to Munster via Jules. I don't have enough to go IPAP, which I would have preferred. And Wilton, I want to keep with the Sharks run. I just feel as though Sharks have a better run to Tigers, scoring more points. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure on the Bateman to Munster one yet, but I'm locked in on Hodgson to Grant. And just run Grant and Cookie to the run home.
You know, any idea on VC&C this week, or you're not sure yet?
So VC's definitely going to be on one of the Melbourne boys that I bring in, whether Munster maybe, whether it's Harry.
Yeah.
Probably prefer Munster. I think he might have a little bit higher ceiling. But yeah, in terms of captain itself, I mean, at the moment I've got it on at the moment it's on AJ, but that's going to change. It could be, maybe it could be a week to go safe. I mean, it depends. Haas is probably solid. But then again, all the Origin players are backing up. If you have got 17 players or, just making your 17, I think it might be a good week then to use the loop and have the 2 cracks because there's no real standouts, like you said. Joey Manu, maybe. But then again, if I VC Munster, I've got them both at 5'8", so I won't be able to captain Joey. What about you, Roscoe?
Well, I'm looking at the moment of going Cleary and Buller out, SJ and VC Walsh in. If I do that, I'll probably I'll definitely VC SJ. And my captain will either be Walsh or Gutho. I think Gutho is a good option this week against the Finns, especially if James K doesn't play. So that's what I'm looking at this stage, but I don't know yet. I'm just having second thoughts on trading out Buller and even Cleary too. But if I don't make these trades, and I'm not going to have 17 players, So I do need to do something. So, and I don't want to be trading out any of my Sharks players either. So it's a hard one because there's players there I don't want to trade out. You know, they play 19 as well. So I don't want to be trading them out. So I don't know yet, but that's what I'm looking at this stage.
I think I'll go Gutho into Munster. If I bring Munster in, I think Munster against a depleted Manly. I think I'll be all over that.
You selling Guth? Oh no, you're
like Gutho as a VC against the Finns into Munster against Manly.
The Finns have gone a bit downhill recently, but I don't know. Normally, Wayne Bennett sides have always got strong defence, if any.
Their forward pack now is nearly back at full strength.
Yeah.
So if JMK plays, I think that's a different game. And yeah, to be honest, it wouldn't. It's at Dolphins.
It's up the Sunshine Coast. Yeah.
Sunshine Coast, is that Dolphins?
No, up at Redcliffe.
Redcliffe's their home ground, but this one's at Sunshine Coast Stadium.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so it's not their normal home ground because their normal home ground is Suncorp. Don't forget. So Timmy, you off to the game on Sunday?
Yeah, mate, I'll be at the Broncos Titans game. I'll absolutely be there. So yeah, it should be a cracking game. If there's anyone out there,
I hope it's a good weather for a Sunday afternoon footy.
It really should be. Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, boys. Thanks for jumping on, Timmy. Guy, thanks again for jumping on.
That's all right. What about
it.
you? What boys? What rank are you?
About 7,000.
Are you asking because you know you're better than both of us?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking none of us are in the top 1%. So
no, but I think shout out to Brad. Shout out to Brad though, who's sitting at about 1,600 at the moment. Dave, our mate Dave, he's up there too. Congrats! So well done to Dave. Good to see the boys holding the fort for the off the bench crew. But
let's be honest. We're all five of us doing all right. It's
we're not. There's nothing in it. I know that. Like points wise, there's bugger all in it. Like I know that guys like. I think where are you guys? 3,000 and something or 4,000?
Yeah, I'm top 2%, 3,000.
But you're only like 150 points ahead of me overall. But yet you're like 3,000 or 4,000 spots ahead of me. That's how tight it is.
I think from about because I was in like 1,600 maybe a week or two back.
Yeah.
But at 1,500 to almost 7K.
Yeah.
There's quite out the front. It's a bit more hard to catch, but yeah, in terms of that 1 to 5% range, it's quite congested.
Yeah.
See, I'm a total score of 18,154. It's got me in just over 4.5K, which is top 3%. But I had another big buy round score last week. So both the big buys I planned for really well, and still, even though I missed a few players last week that got ruled out, I brought in 3 guns, and so another big score of 11. What was it? 11.23 last week. So it was good.
And what about? I'm on 15 and 2 boosts. What about you?
16 still.
15 or 14 at the moment for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, boys. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on Sunday night for the round 17 wrap. Until then, have a good night and good luck this weekend. Cheers, guys.
Stay